Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and welcome to another video. This, of course, is another video continuing the series. I'm working on this guy right here. That is the F-15E Strike Eagle by G.W.H, and we're building it as an ROKAF F-15K. That, of course, is a South Korean F-15. Annyeonghaseyo, Yarabun. To all my Korean friends out there, thank you for watching. So, where are we? Well, I'm right here. I don't know where you guys are, but I'm here. Last time, we got the intakes put in on both sides here. So those are done. Those are ready to go. And I did finally manage to get these little pieces of photo etch installed on the sides right here and right here. Using actual CA glue, not CA debonder. That was kind of funny and kind of felt pretty stupid. But anyway, that's done. So, this is finished. This page is done. We've got the wings installed on there. And yeah, that's it for this page. Oh, we've got holes. Oh, I already drilled the holes. Yep, those are all done. Good. Looks like we've got more holes in the wings to do. So I got to do those before I forget. Don't miss them. And that, well, that leads to the importance of reading everything on the instruction pages before moving on to a step where you're going to regret not having done it. You guys might be wondering, hey, why are you filming on a Thursday morning? You never film during the week. And especially on a Thursday morning. Well, it's because up here in British Columbia, Canada, we have a long weekend coming up. It's Victoria Day weekend. I, like so many other Canadians, have no real knowledge as to why we celebrate Victoria Day. For many people, it's just another reason to get drunk on a Sunday night because they don't have to work on Monday. But yeah, Victoria, of course, the city of Victoria is the capital city of British Columbia in Canada, over here on the west coast. And yeah, so we have Victoria Day this weekend. And yeah, well, yeah, there you go. That's that. So I decided to take the Thursday and Friday off to give myself a full 5 days of vacation with it only costing me 2 days of my vacation time. So here I am on my vacation working on a model for YouTube. To some people that's really boring, but for me it's nice, relaxing, and I'm going to go out a little bit later, so I've got some time, so why not? Get rid of the little burrs on my little holes here while I have the chance. There we go. Okay, so our wing holes have been done. Now we can really move on. Next page. Next page. Looks like we're going to be putting some stuff into the upper fuselage. This, of course, being the lower. We got to grab our upper fuselage. So let's grab that out of the box here. I've already taken this off the sprue and I've cleaned up all the little nub marks already. So that's all done. So I don't have to worry about that now. And that's about it for that. So we got a little bit of kibble and bits to add in here, including our nice little gun. That's nice. So let's see. It looks like they're giving me a couple of options as to whether I want to have these vents open or closed. I think because, let's see, the plane, I'm basically putting this thing down on the ground. I'm not having the intakes. Oh, speaking of intakes, I assembled one of the intakes for the front, just to see what G.H.W. did for, why is there oil on this? What they did for assembling these. And they're actually not bad. Much better than what Academy is doing for theirs. I'll show you on the other side, but this is a pretty decent way that they have for assembling this to make it nice and sturdy. Other kits, they just seem to do it in a way where it's really fidgety and you fumble with it to make sure you've got nice 90-degree angles here and here and here, and it's not ideal. But yeah, we'll get to those in a few minutes. Anyway, so we want to grab our, let's see, I want my I tree and my P tree. I, F, and P. So what have we got here? I've got a couple of trees spread around. This is the P tree. P tree, sounds like Petri dish. Okay, we'll start on this side. We need P1 and P4. One and four. Okay, so this is one. One, and then we need four. Okay. So there's that. We'll get to those. Now I want I and I want F, so I gotta find those. Here's I. Okay. So I is going to be these two guys. You really go crazy with making sure these are not going to come off. 3 points holding these on. That's a bit overkill, I think. But whatever. And now we need F6 because that's our gun. So where's my F tree? There's a lot of sprues in this kit, and so it's a bit of a hunt. What is this one? B. W. That's engine. F. Here we go. F. I need F6. This little guy right here. Alright. Alright, so let's clean these up. Actually, I'm going to change my glasses. Constantly taking my glasses off and on and off and on. It's a bit of a pain, so just do this so I don't need to do it nearly as often. I still have to once in a while when I really want to look at something close, but that's the way it goes. Part of getting older, guys. It's just the way it goes. One thing I hope I'll never wind up having to use is those great big magnifying things that you put on your head. I'm sure those things really help for looking at fine detail, but it's just, it looks very intrusive having this big visor on your head in order to see things. I don't think it's very comfortable. They don't look comfortable at all. I don't think I would enjoy it very much if I had to wear one of those. That might be the point where I kind of give up model building if I have to wear one of those in order to actually see detail and stuff. I'm talking about if I had to. Like if my vision got to a point where I really can't see much without one, then that's what I mean. I might give up on it. There's a little bit of flash just on the edge of this, so I just want to soften that edge up a little bit, especially on this piece. There's quite a bit here. You actually feel it go whoop right up at the end. So I just want to clean that up and soften it with my file. That's a bit better. Feels nicer. A bit of a mold seam right here sticking up. That's what that is. I'm just kind of common on these little wing parts, you know, where the two halves of the mold come together right along the edge. You're gonna get that. That's pretty common. But it just don't line up perfectly. But a little bit of filing will take that right down. Okay, that's good enough for those. So let's flip this guy over, and we have these, and they go with this tab forward. Let me change the camera so you can see a little bit better what I'm talking about. This piece here, this goes to the front. So that should drop in like that, and that's going to give a bit of a nice little opening just like that. Now there actually is some detail of like a little grill here. Wouldn't that be nice to actually carve out that detail and make those holes like they're supposed to be? Or I can just paint it black. I don't think I need to go crazy on the detail for this kit. Sometimes I like to, and some things I do like to go detail crazy, and sometimes I don't. And for me, it's kind of like, where do I gauge it? Is it something that you're going to see from 2 feet away? Or is it something you're only going to see up close if you're really scrutinizing the kit? Well, for the most part, these things sit on my shelf, and ain't nobody really scrutinizing the kits. And so detail that's not visual when you're further than 2 feet away is a little redundant. So I don't think it's worth actually carving out the little holes in there. So we'll just leave it. Now we have our gun. Our gun is going to go right in here, but I think I want to give it a little shot of paint before actually installing it. So just going to grab it with the clip, and I'm going to get my gunmetal. I'll just use TS42 gunmetal by Tamiya. Give that a little shot. It's one of those things where you don't really see this a lot, right? It's a very hidden, kind of a hidden feature. You know the gun is there, and when you're looking at the model, you do see it, but you don't see a lot of it. So I think just hitting that with a little bit of gunmetal, that's probably even going to be painted when I paint this thing. If I don't remember to mask it when it comes to actually airbrushing the thing, it's very possible that it's going to wind up being painted the same color as the plane. Okay, so we're going to put on our flaps and ailerons. So I'm just noticing that in the picture it shows the pin is not quite centered. It's offset just a little bit, and they want the offset, the pin, to be facing, in the picture it's down, so it's the top of the plane. You want it facing it this way. So looking at this, I can tell there's our center line, and the pin is very close but not quite centered, and there is no pin here, so that makes it even easier. Pin goes towards the inside and it sits right there. Why is there no pin on this side? Is that not going to just flop? It kind of sits in this channel. And then we have this piece, which has a little notch here and a pin here. And that's going to go... That's going to be a bit of a challenge. Let's see here. There is a tiny little pinhole for it to sit in. Let's get this. I don't know if these are meant to be just fixed in place or if they're meant to stay loose. Or sitting in this position like this, they don't quite line up. They don't mention anything about not gluing, so I can only assume they're meant to be glued in place. It's just a matter of what position you want them in. Now, traditionally, these fins are flat. And these ones are usually down in the downward position, especially when the plane is parked. So that's how I'm going to do it. It's just a matter of, like, this is kind of a tight fit here, so I can glue this in place. That's not an issue. This one is not the problem. I'm just going to have it get level there, so it's flat at the top. So we've got a pretty straight forward. It's flat and it's straight, and I'll get my thin and I will glue that in. Just for added measure, I'll run along this side too. Okay, so I'll let that sit for a minute. Before I move on, this should be dry now, and it is. Good old Tamiya paint dries so fast. This one I will use this glue. He's going to sit right in this little slot right there. So put some glue in there. And we'll drop them in. Just like that. Okay, so the gun is in. It shows here that it wants me to cut off this little nub. It's just kind of funny. Why put that nub there if you want me to cut it off? Obviously for a different version of the plane. Just why they mold it with it on there. Maybe the F-15C. So we'll just make that nice and flush. There we go. Okay. So we're going to let this one sit for a minute or two before I put this one in. So let's grab P3, which is going to be this piece here. So where's P? I got to grab my other P. Do I have another P? Where's my other P? There it is, P number 3. Sorry guys, if I keep pulling this off camera to work on it, I apologize for that. I see Will Patterson. Is it Patterson? Not Patterson. Patterson. He does that a lot. He's always pulling the parts out of view on his camera and always bumping into his camera. When you're trying to watch and it's camera's bouncing around everywhere. But I do like his channel. It's very informative. It's all these little tests that he does, different products and comparisons and stuff. It's really informative. I like it. Okay, so this one's going to go in here. We'll line up our little tab and put that down in there. This one doesn't feel like it wants to stay quite as easily as the other side, so I might have to hold it, put some glue on in order to start creating that bond first. So let's just do that. All right. And oops, bump. Trying to get it to about as level as I can. That ought to do it. Just put a little bit here because I kind of moved it a little bit. All right, here we go. That takes care of that one. So now let's just double check anything else I need to do on this part. No. Okay. I want these to kind of have a chance to actually sit and cure for a little bit. So let's move on down to this part here, and we're going to assemble the other intake. Okay. So let's just sit this down. I actually kind of want this in this position. As much as I can. Let's just lean this up here. Okay. Alright, so let's take a look at these intakes. Now, I'm choosing not to do this one, this version here. These are the ones where they're angled down. I think that looks really ugly, and I don't like seeing F-15s with it angled down like that. That's just me. So I'm not doing this version. I'm doing these ones, which means they're straight, okay, they're level. And so I've already built this one, okay, so I need to do this one right here, basically off of our H tree, okay. So, where'd my H tree go? Right here. Okay, so basically we need these pieces, these 4 pieces right here. And that's basically going to be it off of here, because these would have been the closed vents on the top of the fuselage, but I'm not using them. So this tree's done. Okay. I will throw that out later. So we're going to clean these up a little bit here. One thing I did notice on the other side is some pin marks that need to be cleaned up. Here and here, we've got some ejector pin marks. There's this one won't be seen, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, but these ones I want to sand down a little bit because they will be seen. I was actually looking on the inside of the intakes the other day and realized there's ejector pin marks on those that I never noticed until after I'd painted, and now they're installed and there's nothing I can do about them. So that's just the way it is. The same here. We've got ejector pin marks here, 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 and here. There's 6 of them. These ones, actually there's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These 6 won't be seen, so who cares? But these 2 will be, and they are raised just a little bit. Oh, these ones might be indents. I'm going to sand them and we'll see. Let's see. Same deal here. We have 1, 2, 3 ejector pin marks. These are raised. Now the nice thing is they are very subtle. They're not super huge. So it only took a little bit of work to file them down, and I'll show you here. If I do this, let's grab, which side do I want this here? Start to sand this. I like to do a kind of circular motion, so I'm not gonna get grind. That might be able to be easier to see. Now you can see there's that circle there, right? So I just want to get that so it's almost disappeared. There we go. Pretty much gone now. And that's the nice thing about this. Yeah, they are there, but they're very shallow. They're not very, well, in this case, they're not very raised. They're not raised up super tall. So just a little bit of sanding, and they go away quite nicely. There we go. So that's that. That gets rid of those 2. Let's move on to these. See, now you can really see that one, right? This one's a little bit taller, so it's going to take a little more, but almost gone. There we go. That one's disappeared. I'll do this one. Almost gone. Almost gone. And it's gone. There we go. So that's those two pieces. This one we don't have to worry about. There's nothing there. This one is these two. So let's see. I think those are indents and not raised. On the other piece they were raised. Well, that little bit, they're gone now. Can't see them at all. So I am very happy about that. So I'm going to take now my 4000 grit and just kind of polish this up a little bit. 4000 grit's not really a polish, but just to smooth that out. Once we hit this with the primer and give it paint on there, all the scratches are going to go away. So this doesn't have to be a perfect surface. It's inside the intake after all. It's not a spot that really gets a lot of visual cues on it, you know. There we go. Let's just clean that up. One more piece. So what's really nice about the sanding sponges is it just conform to the shape you need and give you what you need. There we go. Okay. That's more than good enough for the inside of the intake. Now, I obviously already did that on the inside of this one to get rid of those so that it would never go away, so you'd never see it. In fact, I did a better job on these ones than I did on this, because I can still kind of see this one. I'm pretty sure once I hit that with paint, it'll disappear, but I was just about to throw that down. Okay, so first off, this piece is going to go on here, like that, on our 4 little posts. Just like this, okay? So, throw some glue at it. You don't really need to do any more than the 4 posts, but I want to just add a little bit along this line. I'll do that with the thin. There we go. Okay. And now our sides, we've got a step here and then a notch here to go in on the notch here, to go onto this step here. And that, I found, is actually a pretty good idea. It's good at holding it. It aligns it up exactly where it needs to be, and boom, it's going to sit in it. The very slight bend here works well and lines up pretty good. I don't really have a complaint about it. It's pretty good. So I'll add just a little bit of glue on the edge of that little tab, and then along this little edge here. I only need a tiny little bit, otherwise it squeezes out everywhere and you don't want that. Just like that. In fact, it squeezed out just a little bit, but that's okay. I'll give that a second, and then I'm going to put some extra thin and run it along this line here. If you really scrutinize, you can see through the crack here on this edge here, okay? And so what I did with the other one is I took my Vallejo putty and I just kind of ran it along there and just kind of squeezed it into the crack to fill it in, and that solved that problem of being able to see through it. So now we'll put on the other side. Again, a little bit of glue along there. And a little bit along here. Dun dun. There we go. Just like that. Now, like I said, this is a not bad way to do it. It's much better than I've seen other kits. I think it was the 1/72nd scale F-15 I built a while back, where I was really struggling to get this to line up in an actual box, as it just wanted to flop around everywhere. And it was kind of a pain in the neck. Like I said, this one's not a bad way to do it. I think Tamiya probably has mastered it with their F-15C. Of course, it's been so long since I've built the Tamiya one, I don't remember how they do it exactly. So there is that. Take my advice with a grain of salt, eh? Okay, so there is a little bit of a gap there, a little bit of a that I can see through, and on here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my putty and I'm going to run it along the crack here. Like that. And like that. And I'm going to lick my finger and just do that. Kind of wipe the excess away. But of course it's going to leave it in the crack. And yes, when it cures, you know, everybody talks about these fillers and stuff and how they shrink. And if that's really a concern, I don't really care. I just want that gap filled in so that I can't see through that crack, right? I want the illusion of this being one piece. And that's all I care about. So right at the edge there, I can see a little bit where it's not quite all the way to the very, very tip, but that's not something I'm concerned about right now. So let that sit and dry. That is done. Okay, now let's go back to our flaps. So this guy is going to go in with our little tab, and he goes right there. Now, do I want him flat? Do I want him angled like this? What angle do I want it at is the big, big question. Because you could crank that down like this, right, and really have a huge angle on it, or you could just have a little bit. And I want to make sure that it's the same on both sides. So let's see what I want to do here. I want to use some kind of thing that maybe I can put this in and maybe have this sit like that and use that as its guide to keep it there. But I need to have I need to have two of whatever I do, and so that they're both the same on each side. So I could try using a big pencil or something long, and go right across here to both sides, so it is the same. What about my razor file? Is that long enough? It would be if I do that. That would be an option. And then I can just slide that forward to make it more. And then I can glue it in that position, just like that. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So I need to grab my other one. I need P2. P2 right here. Let's clean this up. A bit of a file to make sure it's flat and straight. So that will mean I can do the same on this side. Make sure I'm going to make sure this is straight. I want to test fit this first. Okay. And there's the problem. See, if I do it like this, I'm getting support on both sides of it. Maybe I can just line it up like that. Make sure it's straight. Do that. That's what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to do one at a time. Have the file lined up like that. Okay. Just let that sit. The extra thin should keep it in place where I need it. Just wanting to make sure it's actually sitting in the groove properly. It doesn't appear to be. There. Let's just make sure. There we go. Okay. So, give that a minute, just a minute, and we'll take a look. These are the last pieces on here. There's nothing else. And it's just the assembly of the intakes. So that's it for this page. Let's flip her over. Let's just do this. Who's that? Oh, hello, Mega Boy. Okay. Next is the engines. But we're just going to glue on the other flap first. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Line that up. Put this in. good. Okay. Engines. The nice thing about the engines is I've already put one together. Because I'm not actually using these. I'm using these guys, the resin version, which in comparison, they're not that much different. And I'm sorry about the camera quality and that. You can't really see too much with them being black. It's kind of hard to tell the difference. You can see that gold photo etch inside them. And the difference between the kit one, super bright in there, and then the photo etch one is a little bit more precise with the burner on it being 2 pieces, and there's a little bit more of a more level detail in there. There's like 3 pieces or so. Remember when I put this together on the, well, I guess you'd have to watch my ROKAF version video to see the actual assembly of that. But this is the kit engine, which eventually can go all the way in like this and sit in there and then disappear inside the fuselage, and then you're never going to see it, right? So, but I decided to assemble it anyway, except for the actual intake fan, because I need them to go in here. I'm not putting this in the kit. Okay, what's going to go in the kit is this right here. That's going on the kit. All right. These ones might very well go on the ROKAF, but we'll see. Anyway, let's put it together and I'll show you how it's done. So, we need our K tree. Okay, so off of our K tree, you get 2 of these. Okay, so you're basically going to need everything off of this except our fan here and here. Everything goes together pretty straightforward. It's not anything special. There's no trick. Although the fins on this part could be maybe a little bit intimidating. And what they have done to this can be like, what the heck am I supposed to do with that? But it's not bad. Need this piece too. All right. So, we're going to need these. We'll need this too, but we'll get to that. Okay. So I'll just put that over here for now. All right. Clean up. Clean up our nubs because they won't fit together if you don't. They have a little bit of inside detail, all these ribs here, but when it's assembled, you never see them. So you do not need to paint the inside of these engines, because there's literally, you've got a fan covering it here on this end, and you put a fan in on this side. You cannot see inside, so there's no point in trying to put any detail inside here at all. My guess is they did the ribs in there just for strength, structural integrity. Why they have these little circles, I don't know, but that's what we got. Okay, so first things first, these two pieces go together, just like so. A little bit of flashing on there. I'm gonna get rid of those. I really don't have to. I really don't have to, because this is just, I'm putting this together just for you guys, because I am not going to be using this piece. I'm not going to have any need for it. I have assembled one engine strictly for the purpose of display. Here's our two halves. Okay, and now we have our two little funny pieces. We got these guys, and they go on the S sides here. So this guy, he goes on where these two little holes are. These two little tabs fit in, if you have it turned around the right way. There we go. The tabs that on this piece are kind of angled so that they fit in kind of on a, it's a weird angle that they fit in. And so that's a good indication whether you have it the right way around or not. Then this guy, I was actually quite impressed on how he fits on, and once it's on there, he looks like he's actually molded part of it. You can't tell that it's actually a separate piece. This one sits raised a little bit, and so you can tell that it's a separate piece on there, but this guy sits flush. He settles down really tight, and you can't even tell. It just kind of, he just kind of slots in there and just sits there flush, and you can't tell. It just looks like it's a part of the mold. It's really, really well done there. So there's that. Okay, so let that dry for a minute. We move on to this guy. These big honking things need to be cut off, otherwise it will not fit. It won't fit on here. Well, I guess it will. I guess it will. Well, actually, doing that was spreading this open. So cut these off. Okay, if you don't want to, yeah, just cut them off. Okay, when you get there, cut these off. That's all you got to do. Just get rid of them. This guy, in preparation for what needs to be done with this, I'm gonna spray paint this with some Mr. Surfacer Black. Okay, so I'm gonna paint this right now. So when it comes time to actually do something with it, it'll be ready. Okay. This guy. That's what I use. Okay, so he'll be ready when we get there. We have these guys. You gotta clean up the little nubs on these angles, otherwise you're gonna have a bad day. Doesn't matter so much on the back part, but on the front edge you want to clean those up and make them look pretty. but definitely here. This is where they're going to connect to each other, and you want to have that a nice good fit and finish. Okay. So clean. Okay. Now, each one of these has a different type of holes in the back, and they all go in one specific spot. You basically can't screw it up. Right? If you put this on there, it's not quite fit. You obviously, you know that little thing where you try to put the round peg in the square hole when you're a little kid in preschool? It's that exact same principle. Okay? Exact same thing. So you basically put some glue on there and you glue it on. Okay? And you move on to the next. So you got this one. There's a kind of a funny looking I gotta make sure these are flush. What do they call that shape? Trapezoid? Where it's not a rectangle because the sides are on angles. Okay, and then so once that's on and flush, you want to kind of put your two edges together here, line them up like that. Okay, I'll move on for the sake of getting it together. So there's going to be a bit of movement, a little bit of adjustment to get this all lined up properly. Okay, obviously you don't want that. That don't look right, right? So you gotta, what you're really going to be worrying about is how it all joins together at the very tip. Okay, so what I kind of did was I lined two up, put some extra thin on them so that they want to stay together, and then move on to the next two, move on to the next gap, line those up, extra thin on those, third one. If you have to squeeze them a little bit, then you have to squeeze them. It's just the way it is. And don't worry about the back edge. So that will be taken care of in a minute or two. Okay. Right now, it's all about the tip. Focus on the tip. Got one more fourth connection. Just like that. There we go. And now it looks pretty good. Pretty decent. Might have one or two that are not quite 90 degrees. The beauty of it, you can just kind of adjust it slowly. Make sure you've got a nice good circle that all lines up pretty flush. You don't have any gaps. If you do have a gap, just squeeze it a little bit, put a little bit more extra thin, and fill in that gap. Because, as you'll see in a minute, it's not going to be very noticeable. Okay, so that's what you're looking at right now. Okay, so the next step is this guy. So you get him off the sprue. Like that. Big ugly nub marks, but it's undergated, so that's nice and easy. do a little cleanup here on the edge. And what I did with the other one is I took my file and went like this, just to make sure they're flush. It's an easy way so that it's all going to be nice and happy when you put it in its home. Because at the end of the day, this is the part that's going to go flush against the fuselage, right? This is the part that's going to go like this. So you want that nice and flat and nice and clean, right? So that's the main thing about that. And then, so what this does is it slides over top like this. And so you can line up the fingers over your little gaps on this to hide any gaps that you have. Just line them up and you're good to go. Okay, you do want to have this pushed back. I think there is a little notch. There's a notch here that should line up somewhere on here. Right there. Okay, there's a little tab right there sticking up, and you can line up the notch. Where'd my notch go? Right there. That allows you to push it back to that spot. Without that tab, now it's kind of locked in, right? I do not have any, I can't really take it off now because it's locked in there. Okay, so I just put some extra thin on there and make this a permanent thing. And I like to put some right on the tips of these fingers just to help make sure nothing catches them and rips them off later on. That's what I did on the photo etch version, or not photo etch, on the resin version, and it's what I did on the other one from this kit. So just make sure these are all nice and they're going to stay and they're going to be happy together, and that's what you get right there. It's not bad. You compare the detail to this, which is hard to do because it's black now. Sorry about that, but the comparison's not bad, although the tip size is much different. Right? That's a big difference in the actual cone. This one's open wider than that one, but big deal. It's that detail is moot. So if we're assembling this, this is now going to go into this end and go like this, just like that. But we have something to do here first. We got to put our fan in there, which means dealing with this, okay? Which means going back to this guy. So I'm just going to take the tape off. There he is. And so we have, back to our photo etch, we got to take our burner off of there. Okay. Now I would prefer to do this on the glass, but this photo etch seems to be very thin and cuts very easily. So I'm going to risk just doing it right on the book. And I think I've already cut through, so let's see here. Yep, there it came right off. There we go. Nice and easy. So this guy basically just goes doink right over top there. Done. So what I did with the other one is I've got my extra thin. This actually is CA glue. I just put drop like that and like that. And drop this down over top like that. And then that was about it. And there you go. And now this goes into the back end here. It's a tight fit, snaps in, and it's done. Just like that. And there you get your nice big golden photo etch in there, okay? But that being said, I don't want to put it in there yet. I need to paint the inside of this black. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take this and do that so that I don't paint my fingers, because I don't want to paint my fingers black. And you might be wondering why I'm going to all this trouble for a piece that I'm not actually installing. But I am technically installing it. I'm just not installing it on this kit. I'm going to be installing this particular engine. Now this one I'm probably going to actually pull out of here. Because I don't want to use the kit parts from the Academy kit. That engine is terrible. That nozzle just sucks compared to that. That's really awful. Even the old version of the engine cones on this kit are better than that. That is just garbage compared to this. That is so much better. If I wanted to go with the old F-15 from the 80s, those particular ones with the, what do they call them? Feathers. With the feathers on. Yeah, if you really wanted to go with that, still go with this one over these, because this is terrible. But anyway, just yeah, this is not worth being used at all. So we got this guy. He's now black, and now I've got no problem. I'll put this in there, because the only other detail I need to do is paint the inside white like I did on that. I don't know if you can see the white detail. Yeah, there you go. The white detail in there. Right? Get that burnt look that you see on all these engines. How's mine? It's almost dry. Okay. Well, that's about it. So that's the engine. Now I've got my flaps done. Flaps are done, and they look pretty much the same. They look like they're in a good position, and they should be fine to stay there. Once I put meet the two halves of the fuselage together, I will add more glue along there for the other half that might be touching along here, so that it's just a little bit more sturdy and will stay put where I want it to be. Yeah, so I think that's good like that. It'd be nice if they were positionable and you could have them in any position you wanted, but oh well. you just live with what you get, right? So that's it for the engines. Just flipping back to make sure I didn't miss anything, and it looks like I got everything. So we move on. Oh, we are putting the two halves together. Okay, well, let's do that. I'll put the two halves together, and then that's where we're going to leave it. Okay? And that's where I'm going to call it a day. So, anything to put in, we've got PE photo etch to put across here, but that's not important right now. We want to put our two pieces together. I have test fit this thing a couple of times already. Now you see, this is where things would be a little bit better if we didn't have our flaps in, if we could put the flaps in after the two were together. Because now I gotta try and make sure that's lined up and the flap is not interfering with the fit. It's a close thing. The fit is actually not too bad on this. It goes together pretty well. We've got our 4 points here on this little piece, or at least 2 points anyway, where it goes together, and that's nice. Gives us a nice guide at the front. Our wing fits together tight. And yeah, see, that's a tight fit there. So I can actually put a little bit of glue along there too. Got a bit of a gap going on right here, and I'm not sure why. A little bit of pressure just takes it away though, so that's fine. I seem to have the same problem on this side. I've got a gap right there, and I don't know why. It's probably something to do with the flap interfering. I need a flashlight here. Oh, I'm going to try something else. It's a little headband thing I bought, or I didn't buy, but this is going to give me some light on the inside. And it does. It is the flaps are interfering on the inside where they connect. Let's see here. So, take this apart. If I take this apart, there we go. It's kind of interfering where the little pin is supposed to go, is interfering right here. So, let's just cut that out. Do the same here. Now we'll see. pin is a little too far back. If I clamp it down, I can get it. I'll get it to glue. It's just almost, it would be better if I just get rid of those pins. Almost better to just get rid of the pin. Or shave it down at least, flush. Okay. That pin broke off. This one didn't break. It's just... Now that's flush. In theory, that's not going to interfere at all now. In theory. No, it's still hitting. Although this side is much better. It's kind of just the mold they've done. As the angle starts to go too quickly and separate. But that's okay. We can clamp it, we can do all kinds of things. If I just take one of these clamps, we'll test the strength on it. Yeah, see, that closes that gap right away. Okay. I can live with that. Alright, let's turn my little headlamps off. Alright. Okay, so let's take it apart and we'll put some glue on it and we'll get it together. It's just not the best. It's not ideal the way they've done that right in that corner. In fact, I want to clean that up just a little bit more. I can just make that a little bit easier for it to go together, and that's what I want to do. Of course, in test fitting this, I never noticed all this problem before, so that's why this seems to be a sudden problem that I didn't know was there. Okay, that should eliminate that problem. So Let's put some thick glue in the obvious points where the pegs are going to go. The nice thing about this kit, there's a lot of points where pegs are going into these slots. All right. And we're together. I'm going to use a bunch of clips because I want to hold it together in many different spots. You know, once the glue starts to dry, it makes it a bit hard to use clips afterwards, after the fact, right? It's a little too big for it. I think we're together. We got a little bit of a gap there that I'm going to have to squeeze and hold together. It's probably due to the gun or the pin not lining up. There we go. A little bit of thin set should cure that problem. Right in here. Sometimes clamps are just too heavy-handed for places like this, right? Sometimes tape is what it takes to get the job done. Squeeze it together and tape. I might have to do more work on that later. We will see. Now, our gap here, that needs to be fixed. Underneath of the wings, we're fine that way. I am going to put some extra thin in here, as I promised. I'm going to run some along the edge of the wing here. Might put some putty along the edge too. I might run some putty in there too, just to clean up that seam. I do have a seam right here that I don't like. I kind of want to put the clamp right on the edge. Sometimes with clamps, you know, you put them down and they clamp so hard it actually flexes the plastic, and you get the opposite of what you're actually trying to accomplish. You want it to get rid of the gap, but then it winds up opening it up, and because it's clamping so hard on another spot. But it takes a lot of this kind of stuff. A lot of this fine little finagling to get it glued where you want it. This has a bit of a step on it, so I want to make sure I get glue in there so that I can sand that down, file that step away, and make this a nice smooth surface. I don't have that same step on this side. I have a step here. This isn't lined up. It looks like it's lined up, but it's not. So I'm going to line it up as best as I can. And we're going to glue that down. We're going to straighten it out and then glue it. Hold that for a sec. Still have this gap going on along here, so that needs to be tightened up. So I should be able to get this clamp on there in that spot. And that tightens up that gap all the way across, so that's perfect. Okay, so we'll let that sit, and then we'll let that set. Sit and set. I've got another one here, so that's I don't need this on no more. Let's get another clamp. We'll set it here. Now that's exactly what I mean. See, I clamp it here and this separates. Of course, with the pressure of just my finger, it wants to separate. So I got to make sure this is glued first, right? So that's going to be just more of the same stuff. So this is where I'm going to end it here, guys. I'm going to continue to work on getting this glued together, but in the meantime, that's going to be it for today. Here's our engine again. Once again, put our little flame in the back. A little bit of thin set along the edge. And we have a completed engine nozzle. Just like that. Done. Okay? That's finished. Now if I wanted, I could put it in here and then, or sorry, this side here, and call it a day. Done. Whatever. But once again, like I said, guys, this is it. This is going to be it for today. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for being so chatty with me, especially Mega Boy there who said hello. Thank you guys. If you're watching on YouTube, head on over to my Twitch channel and follow me on there. Watch me live. You can talk to me while I'm doing this. Yeah. And check out the links in the description box below. You'll see a link to my Instagram where I post pictures of everything that I've built in the past. And yeah, so if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and yeah, that's going to be it for this one, guys. And so thanks again for watching. Thanks for coming out, and we'll see you all in the next one.